Hello, everyone, and welcome to Armstrong in the Loop podcast. I'm your host, Seth Prentice, and today I'm joined by Mary Hess, member of Zelienople Borough Council and Explore Zelie Board of Directors. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Seth.
Mary, you're doing a lot of great things here in this community, and Zelienople as a whole has been growing. You have to take a lot of pride in being able to support the growth of this town through everything you're involved with.
I'm so proud of everything we've done, Seth. We have such a wonderful volunteer base here, and we have so many business owners and volunteers in the community that give so much.
Not only that, but I feel like every year something new happens to pop up and is continuing to grow the mission of making this town as great as possible.
I have to agree with you. We have a lot of business groups and a lot of government groups that are working all in the same direction to keep the ball rolling, to keep Zelienople small and quaint, but also move us into the future.
Which is it almost hard to not want to grow too quickly because of everything going on in the Cranberry area, the explosion of growth there, and wanting to grow at a proper rate here locally?
Yes, that's true. For Zelienople, we are a saturated community of 2.2 miles. Almost the entire town has been built out. So we really can't grow in an exponential way, but we can grow in our business district and by maintaining the character of the community with our zoning and our planning commission.
And speaking of some of the growing that you are doing, is the project right now on Main Street is just absolutely fantastic. New poles, new lights, the old telephone poles are finally being removed. Explain some of the projects that are going on in addition to all of them.
So that project has been 10 years in the works.
Wow.
Yes, we had a small group of businessmen and a small group of council members 10 years ago that started this project, and there were 4 or 5 of us that started, and we've grown our group that was the Zelienople Revitalization, and now we're called Explore Zelie. Now that it's an 18-member board, and we work very hard at facade improvements. Everyone strives to raise money and bring money in. There's a lot of businesses that have donated a considerable amount of money to help with our Main Street facade program.
And one of those that is definitely made a big adjustment is the Kaufman House. And I know everyone's excited for it.
Absolutely.
And those doors are going to be open soon enough. And I had the pleasure to be up there on July 4th for the parade. But just a building of that size coming back, that has to mean a lot to this community.
It's a very important aspect of this project. We actually got grant money to help us with the facade of that building. And if we hadn't had Pat Boylan step in to take over and invest so much money and time into the project, it never would have happened.
And those are the people that sometimes go without mention, and they truly deserve the credit for helping the communities maintain and grow. You also have another business getting ready to move in Delterra, and I know a lot of people are excited. Burgers has taken off here in town, and just whatever little empty storefronts that you have are now being filled, and that has to be exciting.
It is very exciting. We've actually seen a little bit of movement with some of the older buildings, a shift in new storefronts, a shift in more restaurants. We have a few projects in the works of restaurants opening. We don't know exactly what's going to be there yet, but the public is very excited and the business owners are very excited to start new projects.
As exciting as downtown has been, take a few steps over to the park, and your park has grown so much over this past year. Your pool looks amazing.
Thank you. That definitely is the work of the park board, and our park manager, Joan Wolf, has worked very hard. But the park board itself has worked to build this new pool. We got some great grant money. The borough assisted in finishing the project, and we're so pleased. Membership is up, not only in the Zelienople community, but Jackson and Harmony.
Wow.
And we're even getting members from Cranberry that are moving here. So we have some great things happening. We're building a new skate park, as you know, and we broke ground back in May.
Wow.
And we're very excited about that. We're working on fixing the parking and creating more parking and shifting some baseball fields around. And we also have a new programming manager who is starting programming for the park, and we're excited to have more things like summer camp and yoga in the park and things that we've had in the past, but we'll grow it this next year.
Your park is within walking distance, and I would say almost your downtown community is a walking community in itself. A lot of communities would kill for what you have here. What's it taken to not only keep up with what you have, but ensure the future looks bright?
We work very hard on our zoning, our planning commission, our zoning officer, borough council. We constantly strive to improve what we have and maintain what we have. So now we're working on developing a better control over facades and what we allow and what we don't allow. And we also want to maintain our residential districts and make sure that we retain those traditional neighborhoods that we've always had and make sure that we don't impact them too much.
An impact that made a substantial difference in this community would have been the weather that struck, in May and July of last year. Are residents finally getting back to a normal life, or are people moved back in?
Yes, the borough is working very hard to make sure that if we have a future event, that it doesn't impact the borough residents as much as it did in the last two events. Both events were horrific. We had 7 inches of rain in one event in a very short period of time, 5 inches in the other. And we have 3 watersheds that pour into Zelienople. We sit basically in the bottom of a bowl, and we need to control the growth that happens outside our community, but also just unnatural events. I believe we're in a time when storms are harder and more fierce, whether it's climate change, whatever it is, and we're preparing for that. The borough has invested quite a bit of money already in clearing streams. We're working on that project now, taking out trees that are down and trees that impact the stream, even on residents' property. We've contacted residents that have impacts in their yards, and we're taking action. We're also working on a project to basically control the water through some retention ponds up in the park. And we have another area that we have a lot of water in the lower end of town, and we're looking at retention of water there. And so each of those projects we're actively working on right now.
And none of those happen overnight, so I'm sure this has been, on the minds of many people, not only just council, but members of this community that have grown up here. It's not something that's going to change, but something that you can only hope to prevent going forward.
Absolutely, and we're working on, whether a storm drain is wide enough, if we have enough retention in all these different areas, and we're constantly trying to improve what we have and make sure that we're handling every possible aspect that we can.
Any final words for the community and the residents of this area, as I know you have a lot going on?
We, being the board of the revitalization group, Explore Zelie, and also Borough Council, and I'm also a business owner, we want to see positive change, but we also want to retain the character of the community. We want everyone to be comfortable here. We want families to move here. We want youth and energy, but we also want safety and security. And we have all that now, We want to maintain it, but we want to make it even better. And we're very proud of what we have here. We're proud of what it's always been, but we're very excited about the changes as well.
Well, thank you, Mary, for being on the show today. You and the leaders in this community are doing amazing work, and we greatly appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you, Seth.
For Armstrong in the Loop podcast, I'm Seth Prentice, keeping you in the loop. Are you enjoying Armstrong in the Loop podcast? Great news! All past and current episodes are available on popular streaming apps and websites. Search Armstrong in the Loop podcast and subscribe today.